things that are worth your attention.
I'm just so grateful that you joined us.
It is a pleasure.
Welcome to Media Path. I'm Louise Palenka.
And I'm Fritz Coleman.
Today our path will take us through all things Rhonda Shear. We will tour USA's Weekend B movie night show, Up All Night, Spaceballs, scores of memorable TV guest spots, and Rhonda's own line of intimate apparel. We'll explore the reawakening of Up All Night and so much more. But first, Fritz, what are you recommending for the class this week?
Well, if you're a John Candy fan,
Who isn't?
You're going to love him even more after you see this documentary. This is a new film about his career. It starts with the Toronto Second City pocket of hugely talented people, and it goes all the way through his death at 42 years old in 1992. They talk about the Steven Spielberg movie 1941, which was his real introduction to feature films. Right. Then his real bump into fame, which was Splash with Tom Hanks. And then they go over his great pieces of work, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Stripes, and Uncle Buck. The title, I Like Me, comes from a really touching speech he does in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where he's defending himself against a really cruel attack by Steve Martin. And the dark thread in this movie is that his father died at 35 years old of a heart attack. And he had this syndrome that many people have, many males have, when they reach the age at which their father died. When they go beyond that age, they feel like they're on borrowed time, and there's some survivor's guilt and a whole bunch of complicated emotions. And so he did. The problem is he had a really nasty lifestyle. He ate too much, he drank too much, he smoked too much, he did a little cocaine. And but he knew that being this party guy and being huge is what made him famous. And so he was loath to kind of tone down his weight, and that's why he died at 42 years old. But I saved the best part for last. He is just a lovely, soulful man whose whole devotion was to his family. He had two children, Chris and Jennifer. They talked glowingly about their dad and what their favorite moments in their dad's career were. And you could just tell he did a great job as a father. And his very loving widow talks glowingly about him. And Tom Hanks is on there. And all these guys, Bill Murray, and all the people that he worked with. And Dan Aykroyd. It's a beautiful piece of work. And it's produced and directed by Colin Hanks, who is Tom's son. Yeah. And so he co-produced it with another famous Canadian, Ryan Reynolds.
Wow.
So you will love it. It's a beautiful film. And he was a much more wonderful human than we were aware of.
I love that it exists. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Fritz, a few years back, my friend Greg Cope White wrote a memoir called The Pink Marine, which has been brilliantly adapted into the smash Netflix series Boots. The Pentagon has condemned it as woke garbage. And by the Pentagon, we mean 1 to 3 shallow, short-sighted posers. Boots should be celebrated as a recruitment poster. At age 18, Greg joined the Marines ahead of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, meaning it was then illegal to be gay in the military. His straight best friend was heading for Marine boot camp, and Greg went along because, as he tells it, he mostly heard the word camp. Greg, who is called Cameron in the show, ultimately proves himself to be one of the most capable and valuable recruits in his unit. I met Greg Cope White at a writer's salon hosted by Vicki Abelson, where Norman Lear was speaking. Mr. Lear was Greg's mentor, and together they brought Greg's book to Netflix. The series vividly portrays the brutally hostile reality of Marine Corps boot camp. What we quickly learn is that every recruit is hiding something. For some, like Cameron's friend Ray, it's an abusive childhood, so intensely counterproductive in the forming of oneself. But surviving boot camp, however, punishing, forges you into a Marine. This is Norman Lear's final groundbreaking show. He was swinging hard at 101 years of age, and his work will continue to inspire generations.
What a great time for this to come out after the debacle that was the Hegseth speech in front of all the major military leaders.
And it's like one of those, the universe is speaking moments, because Greg started this before COVID. And it's been years in the making. Of course, he wrote the book way before COVID, but the production of Boots, which was at that time going to be called The Pink Marine, that's been going on for years. It just happens to finally be coming out now.
Well, I didn't hear where you said, where is it streaming? I want to watch this.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. It's on Netflix, and then watch it, and we'll talk about it some more.
I would love to.
Plus, Greg is going to be on the show when, Dina? On the 4th, Greg will be on the show. Well, that's when we're recording the show. But Fritz, before we move forward, would you like to tell the audience what Dina ordered? Fritz does our Starbucks run.
I don't know.
It's
Dina,
on
read the label. They had to use 2 labels.
They went around the cup twice with the name of this drink.
Grande, iced, banana cream, protein, matcha with oat milk.
Yep.
And I said to her, why don't you just have a big fat lollipop that you would get at Disneyland, because that's not even a drink.
And she said, there's protein in it.
And matcha.
No, but after you explained it to me, because I thought, why do you buy this at a coffee store? There's no caffeine in it. And she said, no, there's caffeine in matcha. I don't know. I never heard of any of that.
Can you see? Look at the look on Rhonda's face. She wants us to bring her one.
I know. All right.
I'm enjoying all of
Okay,
this.
we're done, Rhonda. We're going to bring you in here. I'm glad when you told me it was like your post-workout rehabilitation drink, then I got it.
Yeah, she earned it. All right. Rhonda Shear is an American television personality, comedian, actress, and entrepreneur. She hosted USA Network's Weekend B movie show Up All Night. In 2001, she started an intimate apparel business that was marketed on Home Shopping Network, which includes the Ahh Bra. Please welcome Rhonda Shear. And I want to...
I'm wearing one right now. How's it look?
You look...
My décolletage has never looked better.
You look firm and flattered.
Hi, Wheezy. Hi, Fritz. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm going to open by asking this question. What elements are included in the perfect late night B movie?
Oh, well, back in the day, in 91, it was the schlockier the better. I mean, because USA Network was basically their library of schlock films. And it was getting people to stay tuned, keeping them into watching the films just to get to the commercials. So hence myself on Friday nights, Gilbert Gottfried on Saturday nights. And he was there from 89 to 98. I was there from 91 to 98. And so, we leaned into the films a little bit, but it was more about the sketches and bits that we did. And I was talking to an old producer today, and I said, the USA Network used to send me out on calls with their advertising agency guys to go meet with Budweiser and Mars Candy and Miller Lite Beer and Snapple. So it was making a ton of money, this little movie show. And it ended up funding things like Duckman and La Femme Nikita. I mean, it was really this little late night show that I don't know if the executives actually watched it, but it was bringing in a lot of money from advertisers. So the schlockier the better. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I think the kids are really into the whole horror genre. It's like this, they want a piece of that 90s thing.
Local television stations, at least in the major markets, used to do that every weekend, and they'd have their host who would dress up like a wacko and introduce these bad movies and do moderately amusing jokes in between. But yours was a whole industry. Now, I want to tell you something. It was,
and also USA Network also had, all the B movies and the exploitation films, really, the TNA stuff that became politically incorrect, and the horror genre. So it was a little bit of both, the teen comedies. And where now it's like the channel that I'm working with, Kings of Horror, is predominantly, all horror, although I'm leaning into them a little bit for some of the comedies. So
we're going to talk about your reboot.
Insane what's going on in my life at this age.
It's cool.
And I'm having a blast.
I'm telling you, you have violated 2 of the great comedy tenets. First of all, you're gorgeous. And funny people are not normally gorgeous. And second of all, you're very good with your money and became an entrepreneur, which is another thing comedians are not especially good at. So you have cracked the 2 glass ceilings, which is unbelievable. You and I have roots.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for my chihuahuas barking. They're the one things that keep me sane. I'm looking at my husband. Please go get the chihuahuas.
But we go back to the
I
comedy
never had
store,
biological children, so I'm very immature. Thank you for the compliment on looks. That was a struggle back in the days in the early 80s, starting off doing comedy because, oh my gosh, even Sammy Shore. Remember Sammy Shore? He was like,
I wrote for
you need
him.
to go back to college or go to law school. I mean, I finished communications major, but he's like, he knew that I was accepted to law school. He goes, you're never going to make it in stand-up. You have to look funny to be funny. And I kept hearing that. And I was meeting with all these huge agencies back then, and they were like, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know what to do with you. And I'm like, well, I'm so tired of hearing you're too sexy, you're too this or that. I'm like, I'm doing this. And I know that I ran into you in all those days, Fritz,
the
like
old
waiting
early
to
days
get
of comedy
on.
stuff.
And then finally I did end up obviously headlining for many, many years, but it was a real struggle. So I think I was combining my entrepreneurship back then because you may not know this, but I went to Jamie Masada at the Laugh Factory and I'm like, could you just please give me a night for women in comedy? Because so many of my peers, they couldn't get to the stage either. So many women, they couldn't, they weren't given any time. So on Monday night when no one was there, he opened the club and I that sometimes it'd be 10 people there, sometimes it'd be 2 people there, but I gave women stage time and we worked at delis in Westwood and all over the place. And it was just kind of my beginning, like, how can I get around this for these girls to get up on stage? And then finally, working our way up. It's kind of like even my husband and I, he's my junior high school sweetheart. We reunited 25 years ago, almost 25 years ago, and we wanted to work together. I was off of all night. And when I wanted to do intimate apparel, I spent so much time in it, I think on USA Network, that I felt like, oh my gosh, I mean, yeah, I did it for costuming, but I wanted to make something that was like more comfortable for women. I've just always had an interest in design. And even then people are like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, I'm so tired of hearing that I can't do things my whole life. So what if there's competition?
I would like you to take a moment and pretend you're on the Home Shopping Network and pitch me an Ahh Bra right now.
Okay, maybe I have to put my drink down. Well, I'm not going to pitch it to you because I really believe in my product. And here's the thing. I can't sell anything I don't believe in, so I could never be a host. It's the hardest job in the world is to actually be a host. The women that stand next to you and basically, give the information. Right. But my Ahh Bra, okay, so it's the original Ahh Bra. It was created in 2003. It's knitted on a Santoni machine, meaning that it gives it always stretch. It fits all shapes, all sizes, all women, all ages. It's a combination of nylon and spandex. It's very breathable. We go from extra small to 3X, all colors. And it gives light everyday support, no underwires. It's the fabrication and the design of it that lifts the girls, but it's a gentle all day, everyday lift. And that's why everyone loves it. And that could be my little pitch. It's the original Ahh Bra.
I'd like to be wearing that as underpants. That sounds very comfortable.
Well, we have done a line of men's
no, but you got
we did it with that. Anthony Sullivan.
You've branched out now. You're an octopus with all these female products and stuff. It's just unbelievable. It's a great American success story.
It's funny, Wheezy. I think so. It's really funny that you said entrepreneurship because Jay Leno, who I knew from the clubs, just him, going in and doing sets. He always hosted the Ernst & Young National Awards. And so we won Ernst & Young, Florida. That's where we live. It was a surprise to me to be an entrepreneur since I was always considered, the bimbo, the diss from the show. But it was like such a great honor. Anyway, long story short, we went to the national. We didn't win. Chobani Yogurt won that year, but he was hosting. And I told my husband, I got to say hello to Jay. He goes, how are you going to get back there? There's all this security. I'm like, I'm a comic. I know how to get there. Through the kitchen. Just walked fast. You had a chance to talk to him a couple of minutes, and he had to go back on stage, obviously. And a week later, I get a call. He was still hosting The Tonight Show, and it's NBC. He goes, I just want to congratulate you. It was Jay. And you've done so well. I'm so proud of you for not for going on and doing something else with your life. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to really spend time with you, but I'm very aware of what you're doing. I thought that was so unbelievably nice.
Awesome,
but he'd been hosting this Ernst & Young National for many years. It was very cool.
We love Jay. All right, we have a little game. We have a little game called Do You Know More Than Google? I might work on that title. So you know how when you Google somebody famous, it will say people also asked. So I want to see if you know more than Google about yourself. Okay, so under people also ask, they ask, was Rhonda Shear on Married with Children? What is your answer?
Yes. I played the next door neighbor who was a stripper, of course.
Of course.
Definitely one of the more well-known, I go to these conventions and people know me from that.
So Google says, yes, Rhonda Shear also co-starred in numerous sitcoms from playing the Fonz's girlfriend on Happy Days to the sexy neighbor on Married with Children before making her mark as a comedian. Number 2, what is Rhonda Shear known for? Ooh, you're known for many things. How would you answer that?
I would probably say that if it was Google now, it might be the Ahh Bra because we've sold 35 million units of them. So women know me from that and guys know me from hosting USA Network's Up All Night.
Yeah.
So-
Google says Up All Night, Home Shopping Network, the Ahh Bra. Absolutely. Okay, final question. Is Rhonda Shear still married?
Yes, to my junior high school sweetheart,
Van
who was
Fagan,
my
the
first
famous
kiss.
Van Fagan.
Van Fagan.
He's the wind beneath her wings.
She married her high school sweetheart on January 11th, 2001, in case you guys sometimes forget your anniversary, just a few months after finding each other on classmates.com.
I actually wrote a book and it talks about that because when I turned 40 in LA, that was considered really old. Now, like, you're J-Lo and you're like better than ever and hot and sexy, but 40 back then was just like you were anxious. So I was getting nervous. My mother was getting nervous. Jewish family. When are you getting married? But anyway, I started serial dating. And Fritz, you probably remember I dated a guy named Bobby Kelton for many years. I was with Bobby 14 years. And then finally I'm like, I need someone outside of the industry. And just started dating different people back then. And Van reached out through classmates.com. And that was like a big site back then, not as a dating site, but like reconnecting with, high school friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never forgot him. He was my first love, my first kiss, and the first guy to break my heart. And you never forget that person. Oh. And so I decided to write him back. I was seeing someone then, but I wrote him back and flirting back and forth because I had never married. He was married with 2 kids. I'd been married with 2 kids, divorced a while. And anyway, he said, well, we need to get together. And I told him to come out to LA, and then I broke the date. And then he actually sent me an email that actually caught my attention. And I didn't know what he looked like, but he had been watching me through the years on television. And he goes, well, we're both single and you could be missing out on being with the sexiest man alive. And I went, man, that takes some gall. Like, I'm a TV star. How dare he tell me that he's sexy? Has he not been watching me? No. Anyway, it's my ego. And now he got me curious. So 3 months, I tried to get him to come see me at clubs all over the country because that's how I was supporting myself after the show. Wouldn't come out. Finally, I went to Louisiana and got together the day after Christmas, and that was it. 15 days later, we eloped.
Are you kidding?
Wow.
So the moment you saw him,
magic.
It just reignited that little flame that had never quite all the way burned out.
Never went out. I mean, it still gives me the chills. He gives me the chills, and he's sitting over there. No, and we love the same things. My mom was still alive. My mom had his picture under her dresser all those years. He took me to his house. He cooked fish for me that he actually caught himself. I was used to being with actors, and no offense, Fritz, fighting for mirror space. Guys, everybody that was an actor, they were fighting. And here's a guy who's like a real man. He's chopping wood. He's putting it in his fireplace. I was like, what is this? He built the house. He was living in Lafayette, Louisiana. And I'm from New Orleans originally, but we both grew up in New Orleans. So I was like, he built his own house with his own hands. I was just so impressed. And he was a businessman. And it was really interesting because not only as a marriage and, us loving each other as children, and I guess the whole life thinking on and off about each other, with a perfect match because he had the business smarts and just knew how to turn lemons into lemonade. Because when we got together, we were below sea level, both of us. I mean, through different things, divorce, losing his business, me being off the air, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I mean, he just made things happen. And without banks, we did it all on our own. We just kept reinvesting the little bit of money that we had. But anyway, so it was just his business sense and then my being on camera and doing stand-up and never being afraid of live. So Home Shopping Network, live TV, now it's not, but it was live 24 hours a day. Now they're tape a few hours in the middle of the night, and they would call me literally at 3 a.m, 4 a.m, 5 a.m, never fearful of that. And we moved to Florida, where HSN was located until literally about 3 months ago. And we thought if we moved here, it would grow our business, and it did, because other products of other people would fall out and then they would put me in. So my husband and I, we're vendors. So there's, a lot of people go on the air, they're celebrities and Home Shopping Network pays them, or they do different deals with another vendor and the vendor pays them. We actually stupidly, but now fabulously, put our own money in and I started designing and working with little factories and then working with big factories. So we design literally from design to consumer. We make and design everything. And so I know we're known for the Ahh Bra, but we've done thousands of products through the years. And I'm very, very proud of our line. And shopping has changed a lot, in those days, especially since COVID, where people are going live on YouTube and Amazon and TikTok. And we're doing that as well as still being on HSN in this country and the UK and Australia. So it's a very interesting world that we got into knowing nothing about it initially.
Wow.
It's a great success story. It's a great success story. And your husband's, I just love his name, Van Fagan. Sounds like he should be a co-star in Yellowstone. It just reeks of testosterone.
Yeah. Well, he's got a little bit of a Southern accent. His father was from Texas. And you all may remember, you both young too, but he was named after Van Johnson. So his mother was like into Van Johnson, and I was named after Rhonda Fleming. So we're both named after famous movie stars. So I think that's kind of funny. We talk about that, everybody goes, who? Van Johnson, Rhonda, who?
All right.
But we've had an interesting journey.
You weren't just a gorgeous face that suddenly was getting offered jobs. I remember when we were all doing open mic nights in L.A. 30, 40 years ago. You came out to Los Angeles in 1977, and you had to do some jobs where you had to swallow your pride, like being a contestant on The Gong Show. Talk about that.
Actually, that was probably not a bad one, except, when I first hit LA, I didn't know anybody there. I talked two other girlfriends who went to Loyola University in New Orleans with me to come with me because my parents were terrified of me being out there alone. And so they came with me, and I just went back and did things that I knew how to do. So I was a pageant girl in Louisiana, won Miss Louisiana, a bunch of pageants. So I was done with all that many years before, but I had decided, well, I don't know how to meet people or agents or anything. So I entered Miss Hollywood, and I won that, and I entered a few other pageants. And that was just my way to start meeting agents. So the $1.98 show was after I had done a bunch of Chuck Barris shows, which I think he was the forerunner of all reality. But I had done the dating game a couple of times for him. I did the $1.98 beauty show, which I won. It was a mockery of pageants, but it was funny. I mean, he was just out there. What other show did he do? The Gong Show I did. I wasn't thinking much about my future in that, worrying about some of his shows. Comedy Courtroom, which was a pilot for him, which a lot of the comics did. So it was just my way to get in front of people because I didn't know any better.
And it made you comfortable in front of the camera, and it polished your performance skills. And it
was also that I loved comedy, and I was this beauty queen, like this terrified face. So the first thing I did, Fritz, and you probably don't know this, was I joined Harvey Lembeck's improv class.
Yeah.
And met a comedy partner there who I worked with for a long time named Kenny Ellis. I don't know if you know Kenny, but we did comedy all over town. I mean, we worked anywhere and everywhere. I mean, he used to carry me in as a mannequin. I used to do like mime, kind of like Shields and Yarnell back in the day. And we would crash major places. We crashed Johnny Carson's office. At that time, we crashed Freddie DeCordova's office and did this whole routine. Steve Allen's show, the Smothers brothers were doing a special. We crashed the Merv Griffin, Merv Griffin's studio right before. I can't believe the things we did, actually. You could never get away with it, but you know what? I wouldn't give that up for anything.
You had huge stones.
But once you got in the door, what did you guys do? What was the act?
Well, my thing was always to show talent. Kenny was an amazing singer. He's a cantor today, but the most incredible voice. And we had these sketches. So we had both met in Harvey Lembeck's class, but I did this little mime thing. I'd come to life, and then we'd go into some sketches. And the only person that ever threw us out were the Smothers brothers, who I later on got to meet and told them that story. No one else stopped us. They let us go on. Steve Allen actually booked us on a show together doing this little routine that we did. Oh, wow. And then his show got canceled. Literally, we're like, oh, our luck, he gets canceled. And we were on show number 6. But just took a lot of nerve to do some of the things that we did when I look back.
Talk about your stand-up act. When you were solo, what was your act like?
Well, when I was solo, I was dating Bobby, and he had been on like 21 Tonight shows, and he's like, and I'm like, I'm going to do stand-up solo. He goes, oh no, please, I've been through this. I'm not going with you to clubs. I'm not going to hang out for you to do your 3 minutes to nobody. And but I did it anyway. So once again, don't tell me no. So it was just observational about me. And when I first started, I look at some of my early material, and I was trying to do a character. And then later on, I found myself in my own way. And to this day, people are like, you really need to keep doing this or start doing this and do more stories. And every now and then I'll get pulled up on a stage and I love it. But I know it's work and you have to write for yourself and it's constant writing. And but I love being funny. And that's the reason why I think, Up All Night's fun, because I have a much more of a hand in obviously everything.
And
now.
you have the combination of being funny, but also a good host. Because after, I don't know if it was before or after Up All Night, you did Comedy PJ Party, which you did all over the place, right?
Yes,
what was that?
It's
What was
Rhonda
that
Shear's
show?
Up All Night Pajama Party, and I did do that, and it probably would do very well today, where it was because a lot of women's shows have done well, where I hosted the show, and I'd have like great headliners on. We'd all be in our pajamas or whatever the ladies felt comfortable in, but we would be on the stage as the audience, like having a pajama party, because I wanted the audience to feel involved. And we'd invite the audience if they wanted to come, to visit us in pajamas. We were in Vegas a few times. But it was really cool because we stayed on stage and each gal got up and did her time, but we did little sketches in between. It was just I always love variety. I guess I'm really old school. And I always thought that would be a great way to do, not just to have everybody go up and do their bit and go off, but to keep the whole show more as almost like a theater
Was
piece.
it comics coming on?
Yes, yeah. I had Vicky Barbelo back then. Who else? I can't remember major stand-ups. Carol Montgomery was on. Can't remember everybody, but you name it, and they were all on during, because I did the show locally too, and I even did it at the Comedy Store. But when we did it on the road, like in Vegas, then we did all-out productions and dressed the stage like a bedroom. It was just really neat. And then we did, little bits in between.
Well, Up
Fun
All Night
time.
is coming back on the Kings of Horror YouTube channel. What's familiar to folks and what's new? I know you have a big Halloween inaugural
Yes.
episode.
Well, I will not be in lingerie.
Okay.
And I am cognizant of my age. I know that there's people that did not know the show because they were not born. I also know that there's major fans because they watched it growing up. So obviously it's really fun to play to those guys who are like, I say guys and women, but it's like a 40 to 50-year-old age group. It's really that strong, which is a great age to be involved with. So it's definitely I'm not a major horror fan. And I'm very honest about that. Like Joe Bob Briggs is all horror, but I've always been more of a comedy fan. Or like I said, the comedy films. So I'm going to have experts on. I have a few really great people on that come and talk all things horror. And then I have a couple of regular cast members now that lean into that world. And then we're going to just do just more comedy, more fun, more sketches. I just feel like that old school sketch comedy hasn't been around as much. And also I love, Saturday Night Live, but it's so political. I want to just do something that's so neutral for anybody and everybody watching.
Plus,
even
it'll
a
be
younger
evergreen.
audience.
If you make it neutral, it'll be evergreen. You can rerun ad infinitum when you're done with it.
Right.
So
we'll
are you
lean
gonna
into
have
things,
writers?
that are of course current. I don't want to be like, I'm not living in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little bit of nostalgia with today's humor. And also I'm surrounding myself I love young comics and giving them a chance, young filmmakers that are doing these films. Here's what's cool about the Kings of Horror. It's on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's a channel that has over 1.5 million subscribers already, and they've got the films. If I always wanted to kind of reboot Up All Night, but I can't get the films, you don't want to just show, films that your neighbor made anyway. So basically, they've got like a 14,000 titles. So that's very cool. They've got the films. They license them. That's expensive. Mm-hmm. We've got the studio. So we're able to do all of the production. They're able to supply the films. It's this wonderful marriage between us. It's monetized through sponsors, through Patreon subscriptions, through their own subscription to the channel, and through our products. And I feel like everything should be monetized because even now you can, aim your phone at a QR code, even on a Yellowstone, and buy a jacket, or buy something that someone's wearing. This is where shopping's going, is like those QR codes. So we'll have product from from the Rhonda Shear Intimate line, and we'll have product for fans, T-shirts, all that merchandise, and a little bit of everything, along with our partners, which is Kings of Horror, and their products. So they have several channels, and I want to work with them to actually bring product to those, because that's the one thing that my husband and I have learned through the years is we know how to source anything. I mean, working all over the world and producing all over the world, you learn how to source products. So if you guys are looking for product, come to me.
Yeah.
We can
I
get
need
you
a
whatever
nice
you need. Those
base.
beautiful lunch boxes in front of you.
I haven't been able to find a good base.
no,
I used to go
she
with an
mean-
Egyptian number 2.
That would be very flattering, but she means like hats and T-shirts.
Oh, okay.
And like we have, a little bit of branding
have
here.
branding.
So we would love some advice. You guys are experts. Thanks for coming along down the media path, and however you have found your way to us, we would love for you to like and subscribe and give us a nice review, because as creators, it is our appointed duty to ask you to do that. You may also want to find us on Instagram and Blue Sky, where we are at Media Path Pod, and on Facebook, where our show page is Media Path Podcast, and our Facebook group is Media Path with Fritz and Wheezy Podcast Community. If you are listening to our show, we are also a video podcast on YouTube at Media Path Podcast. You can write to us at mediapathpodcast@gmail.com. My TikTok is Louise Palanker, where I post behind-the-scenes peeks and clips from the show. And Fritz's TikTok is Fritz Coleman Comedy. He posts stand-up clips and popular dance crazes. Our website is mediapathpodcast.com. There you can binge episodes and our spicy newsletter. Thank you so much. On with the rest of the show.
And I feel like everybody, seriously, this is the way, I mean, you guys probably know, you've been doing this podcast, but I see all these really young people that are influencers, and they are doing incredibly well because they've monetized it and they're selling product. So
let me talk to you about
it's
that.
getting the product. So being able to create something that's just for you guys, just like I told the child, whatever you want, we can create anything. You want a doll, you want clothing, you want apparel, you want food, hot sauce. I'm going to do up all night coffee and hot sauces. And
What we really need is a Fritz bobblehead, and I think it will fly off the
we could do a
shelves.
Fritz bobblehead easily,
Next
of
to
course.
Shohei Ohtani, it'll be the biggest thing. Now, let me ask you something. I want to get your opinion about this, because you're both a comic and an influencer and a marketer and an entrepreneur. What happens with these influencers, and I know this because I was talking to the new owner of the Ice House. You have these influencers who do amusing 20-second pieces on TikTok, and they think that makes them a comedian. So what they do is they gather an evening at the Ice House, and they put the thing out on TikTok, and they fill the room up, but there's no show. These people are not performers, and they don't get guests and everything, and it's a big bust. And my Johnny Bust, the new owner of the Ice House, said, no, people just get up and walk out. They can't believe that they paid for this.
I know that. I know that's going on. That so many people, especially in comedy, maybe you can hear a voice and people can get picked up vocally, but comedy, it's on TikTok. So what it is now, it's all about how many followers you have.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's
it used
how
to be
you get
about
booked.
ratings, your Q score. Remember that? Now it's how many followers do you have? So these clubs don't care.
No.
They just want to fill the room. And I think that's horrible. I mean, I really do. Because at the end of the day, it's just like sales. I was talking to someone about, they wanted to put me on, we're already on Amazon, but they wanted to create a show for me on Amazon. And they're like, well, you only have this many followers, which is like a nice amount, but not in the millions like some of these people have. And I'm like, that doesn't mean you can sell. Just because you've got the most many followers doesn't mean you can. And that's what happens. They put some of these people on, just like on HSN. They've had so many stars on there through the year, major stars. But that doesn't mean that they can sell or they feel that something or they care about their product. It's the same way with what's going on with comedy. And I think that's really bad.
There's just a missing step in the training of people as 360 performers. So, in Motown, back in Motown, you didn't just have a hit record, then you went to all these other classes and learned all, so that by the time you were on Johnny Carson, everything was firing. And it would be the same like with a boy band or a girl band. You wouldn't put them on stage unless they had nailed their choreography under extreme circumstances, like they could do it in their sleep. So why are we putting TikTokers on a stage in a comedy club without giving them lessons in writing a full, at least 20 minutes of solid material?
Because the owners don't care. As Rhonda said, they just want to get asses in seats. And the sad part about that is, Rhonda, that's the only way you can get booked in clubs now.
But it's only once. You show up once. You can't be there for a whole week because word gets out.
Nobody's there for a whole week anymore. Now it's 1 or 2 nights.
No,
but
they're just going on the weekends. I know it's really, really bad.
Yeah,
and I mean,
you can't get booked unless. And what that is it's the club abdicating its advertising responsibility. They know they don't have to take out an ad in the newspaper. They don't have to do an email blast.
Exactly.
You'll take care of your own, and if you don't, we won't book you. It's hard.
That's exactly what's going on. So all those years of standing out in front of a club and working out one joke, how many times did you work out one joke? Like 20, 30 times before you know if it really worked?
But
None
it
of
just
that.
seems
They're on
like somebody
TikTok.
could start up a TikTok stand-up comedy class and take those people from the level of, obviously they're talented or they wouldn't have all those followers. They just need a class before they go live on stage. Because it's got to be terrifying for them. It's not what they're used to doing.
They have no attention span. I mean, I love young people. I learn from them. I have young people in my Rhonda Shear intimate apparel business. I learn from them. My crew that I just worked with yesterday, they're young. But there's also, like, I love listening to them because I can learn, but they don't want to listen. I mean, it's like, just listen, you can learn. They have no attention span.
At your stage, at your studio, do you have like a family of crew that help you, or do you hire independent people all the time?
We have some inside people that work with us all the time, because you can rent out our studio and then bring in your own crew. I mean, you could do films, TV, commercials, it's full out loading docks, the whole thing, green rooms, all of that. And we also have podcasting suites, which you could decorate beautifully like yours is decorated, or we would build that for you, or influencer spaces where they can just come in. We can change walls out. I mean, it's very today, and the young people that helped us, worked with us, were like, you want to have influencers. So we're booked up with influencers and podcasters right now, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But, I do want to build it more. And I think once they see our production, with our show Up All Night, and they realize what we can do, that will start to build. Also, we're on the west coast of Florida. We're in St. Petersburg, which is a very cool area, and it's very centrally located on the west coast. So
it sounds like
we're new.
You could have the stand-up comedy class right there at your studio and get them ready for when they go out live.
You're right, Weezy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 100% right that people have talked about doing classes in our studio, and actually a stand-up class would be amazing because they don't have that. I mean, do they even care? I mean, what if they get heckled?
They do
don't
when
even know
they're
how
up
to dance.
there and they're terrified because
They're
no one's
dying a horrible
laughing.
death,
They're
yeah.
used to standing, putting their phone on a tripod and doing and they've nailed it, and they're awesome. But when you get on a stage in a nightclub and people are staring at you and you don't know what your next thought is and no one's laughing, oh my gosh.
I mean, even when we would do sets on Evening at the Improv or any of those shows back then, you'd have to have your set and they'd have to hear it. So these people just come in.
So is your Up All Night reboot going to be weekly? Is it just going to be a special?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we start on October 25th, this Saturday night. It's going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's the Halloween Boo Bash. And I've got some great guests on there. And then November the 20th is our next date. Or is it November 20th? November 22nd. I'm so sorry. November 22nd, right before Thanksgiving, is our Thanksgiving special. 2 films. And then for Christmas, we are on December the 20th at 10 p.m., 2 films. And then after that, January 4th on, we're 1 film and we're every other week. And this is the cool thing about it. And this goes back into what you guys were talking, what young people want is because there's so much on their phone, they don't really interact with people. So we're taped to live, or rather, live to tape, whatever. Yes, live to tape. But then it will air. When it airs, you'll be able to comment. So we'll be able to comment in real time because they want to feel like they're watching together, like a community watch.
It's a pajama party.
That's why these big conventions now, I did a few conventions, but now these conventions and these cons are so huge because these people have no social life except going to those and meeting some of their favorite stars that they're craving. Touch and feel.
And meeting each other, too. They love that.
So go ahead, Weezy.
Well, back in the 90s, you got mail that physically traveled on pieces of paper into your hands.
Yes.
How is what people said to you back then different than what they say to you now digitally? Because I know you have a large online presence.
It's pretty much the same when it comes from the guys, except some maybe it's better that it's coming in email form because some of the letters, the things in the letters, they would have pictures of themselves, pictures not always dressed.
Yeah.
So, But I have to say that I still get a lot of snail mail. And through the years, I'm talking 35 years ago, all right? I'm really old. I'm like a bat, keeps coming back. But it's pretty amazing that I still get all this snail mail. So I've been signing autographs all these years, along with developing and designing bras and panties, which, by the way, and Weezy, I love this part of my life because in Up All Night, I feel like more men watched. I mean, USA Network said it was half and half, but I still think it was more guys that remember the show anyway. It has been such a wonderful journey to help women because so many women come up to me like, I had breast cancer and I feel so amazing now. I'm wearing your product and I feel feminine. It feels good. It's comfortable. So this wasn't what I started out. I mean, I didn't start out to do anything medically, a medical product, but so many stores do buy our product for medical uses.
The
so it's been a
Ahh Bra
really
was
great journey.
Your foundation product, and now you're in cosmetics, swimwear, fragrances.
No, I did. I dabbled in fragrance. I'm not in cosmetics because I can't pronounce all the words that are in cosmetics. And
Fair.
What about
I don't
athleisure
use skincare. I'm really lazy. I fall asleep with makeup on because I never wear makeup anymore. All the years that I wore it. So it's like I was on camera for 14 hours yesterday and my skin is like, please take the makeup off. Yeah. So that's the hardest part. I was like, what's the hardest part? The 14 hours didn't bother me nearly as much as the makeup and wanting to pull off my lashes.
Right.
But it is fun. It is feeding my soul because once we're performers, I think we're always performers. And, getting that feedback, although I want my crew to listen a little bit more.
It's smart. You said this yourself. You have a male audience with Up All Night. And you appeal to females with the products, so you're vectoring in on both sides of the demographic there. It's pretty cool.
For the first time, I tried to figure out with Home Shopping Network, they never have really utilized my comedy or my background. And I'm like, why don't you have me hosting and doing things? All these stars would come through that do all kind. I'm like, because I think I became local to them because I live in Florida. So for the first time, I am going to do a lot of that branding, and it's going to go together. So it's very cool. So, we're actually going to do, this is kind of crazy, but I have an agent now for conventions. So I'm starting to book at some of these conventions. And so this one woman her name is Jody Ritson. She handles the Happy Days Fonz, all those guys, the Chips group. And she likes to come up with different ideas for different things at conventions, like a special, like a meet and greet dinner. So we both said that this is exactly the time. She first knew me from the Ahh Bra, and then she goes, oh my gosh, I never put together you were the same girl from Up All Night, blah, 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 same woman. Anyway, we're going to do bra fittings comedically. But I mean, we're going to actually do like picture taking. I'm going to show women what size bra they wear, give them an Ahh Bra, take a picture, and the guys, we're going to play with them. So we're going to have these special events with bra fittings. And because so many women, when I go to the convention, they're like, well, what do you think I should wear? What size am I? And I can actually... 9 out of 10 times I nail a woman's bra size.
Wow.
I think you need to start using AI in your bra sales system because I think there are ways you can use that.
It's an amazing world.
Step into this
I have
booth
to say,
and we'll show you.
Designing bras is the hardest thing because it's the most intimate part of your body. It has to fit perfectly. I mean, you wear a blouse, it doesn't have to fit perfectly, or a jacket, but a bra has to fit you.
It's touching
so you get
all
a
the way
lot
around.
of comments.
It's touching on every part of the surface of the fabric is touching your body.
Yes. And panties too. So, and women are very, they'll spend money on a $500 on a handbag, $300, whatever, because it's like shiny and cute. But I have to wow, this is like my prices are so good. This is whatever, $34, $36, whatever it is. It's like, you guys need this. Your bra drawer is a mess. You need a new bra. So it's been an interest. Really, I love that. I love it though because it does help women. And my husband and I have done a lot of charity work, like Go Red for Heart. We've done breast cancer events. So it's been really great to give back through the years too. Yeah. And a journey because, like I said, we started out from nowhere. So I do have a book, and the book talks about it has my Up All Night days, also pre-Me Too. That was another reason I love comedy is because it was my defense mechanism from guys hitting on me because they didn't like you to make jokes of them. So that I used comedy that way, but also it talks about the comedy journey, but also finding love after 40 and starting a completely new business after 40. So it's a lot of, for people who want to start a new business or a new career or find love after a certain age, it talks how everyone can do that.
Up All Night, from Hollywood bombshell to lingerie mogul, Life Lessons from an Accidental Feminist.
Wait, Fritz. Is that name longer than Dina's drink order?
Not almost. Dina's has a couple more adjectives in it.
That's a close one.
What is an accidental feminist? I thought that was interesting.
I was always, doing things my way and yet playing the sexy girl. Because back in the 80s and even the 90s, you had to appear single. Guys like, oh, you're married, you have a boyfriend. I mean, it would be like, oh, but I never went to those parties and I never fooled around. I should have fooled around because I would have gone a lot further with my career, but I was not. I was a really nice girl from New Orleans, went to school. My parents wouldn't let me go to LA till after college. And so they protected me and I protected myself. So, I didn't go to the Hollywood parties. I never would take a meeting at somebody's hotel room. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those things were self-inflicted by people. Also doing, I was always more nervous. So I think I was doing things my way and I was entrepreneurial before realizing I was more entrepreneurial, which is probably why comedy came easier than serious acting. Because I sold myself so hard.
It says on your Wikipedia page that you have a Harvey Weinstein story. That must not be true.
No, I don't. I never met Harvey Weinstein, but I knew Harvey Weinstein types. And in all those years, I ran for my life or whatever 3 times. And they were on legitimate offices in legitimate meetings set up by agents. And one guy wanted to act out a love scene. It was on Paramount Studios lot, but it was like after 5 p.m. But when I got there was still people in the outer offices. There was like an outer office and inner office. And then, it's got kind of quiet. I always had a good sense of when things were weird. But so I didn't have to run. I basically said no and walked out. But there was a couple of times that were just a little spookier. But I'm glad hopefully things have changed out there. Because that was a really hard time to navigate. If anything, it was the years of the jiggle. It was all the Charlie's Angels and a lot of boobs going on and a lot of that. And I did lean into it because that's what was going on. I mean,
Have you seen the documentary about Jane Mansfield?
Yes, I was just going to bring that up.
I have not, and I would love to see that.
It's so good. It talks about that.
You're going to relate to it.
Yeah, you really will, because she fronted herself off as a bombshell.
Well, when you're gorgeous and sexy, there's no way that you can change the biology of men who are looking at you.
No. And
I was told so many times, your mouth moves too sexy, casting directors. I'm like, I can't help the way I move my mouth.
And her mother, Jane Mansfield, was an accomplished violinist. She spoke 5 languages. And I mean, all of the wonderful things that would give her quality as a human being were neglected because she was this statue, that everybody got used to.
But
you
back
need
then,
to see
that's men, they had the upper hand. And they did in casting. I mean, a couple of times I heard, if you don't sleep with me, I'm going to have you blackballed from the industry. And you're young and you're scared. And I didn't. I never did. I actually let a lot of great guys go past me. I mean, good guys, solid guys, because I was just so afraid. I hid behind comics a lot. I mean, a lot of my friends were comics, and I hung out with comics because that felt like a safe environment for me.
Yeah, they protected you. All right, we have a little game called IMDb Roulette. And what happens in the game is we say the name of one of your IMDb credits, and then you tell us what you remember about that experience.
Okay.
So we're going to we'll start with Happy Days.
Okay. I did 3 episodes of Happy Days. Wow. I played the Fonz's girlfriend. And the very first time I was on there, I was really excited. I played, it was a burlesque show. And Cassandra Peterson, who became Elvira, and I met each other. So way back then, I met a movie host, and later on, that would be our defining moment. So it was a great experience. Got to meet Jerry Paris and, all of those wonderful people from that era. And how I got into very quickly Happy Days, and why I wanted Happy Days so badly is when I was 19 in Miss Louisiana, I went out to L.A., because the pageant sent me out there to represent a brand. And when I got to L.A., to do this ad for this, it was a jewelry ad. The woman who was casting Happy Days, her husband was the publicist for the jewelry brand. But they took me out to dinner. They were a lovely Jewish couple, and it was during Yom Kippur. And so after that, they're like, look, I need to take you guys. You're out here, blah, blah, blah. You're on your own. And she says to me, we are casting for Happy Days Christmas show this week. You need to come in and read for us. And I was 19 and in college, and I did. And I don't know why Henry Winkler was there and Anson Williams, because usually the star's not there, but they were there. And I was like, I'm 19. Happy Days is at its height back then. So it was always in my mind to get back to LA. My parents were like, nope, not till you finish college. But Happy Days was the second thing I got after a Bob Hope special. So it was very cool timing. I know I'm blabbing
Your
on, but
parents were
anyway,
smart.
that's
I love
what I
that.
remember.
That's fascinating.
Okay, Johnny Carson show.
That was cool. Was not a guest, but I did a Mighty Carson art players that would never fly today. I played Rhett Butler he played Rhett Butler to my Scarlett O'Hara.
Oh my God.
And then the joke was, I'm like, all that stuff. Oh, I love you, Rhett. Take me back, all that stuff that she says. And he's like, frankly, my dear, I'm gay. And this butler picks him up and carries him upstairs. It would never fly today.
That's pretty
But
funny.
he was a hoot to work with. Very close to getting the show as a guest in my latter years of Up All Night, but it was the end of his ride. So there were so many people that wanted to get on. I never got on as a guest, but that would have been cool.
Yeah. Okay, Dallas.
Small part. It was the season's end. I can't remember the character, but it was Who Killed JR. And it was just a small part, but it was a very important, one of those
One of the biggest days in
suspenseful-
television. Holy,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Wow. Okay, Fritzy.
Spaceballs.
That's exciting because when you were talking about John Candy, that got me excited because I got to meet and work with John Candy.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any lines with him, but I spent all day on the set in the diner scene of Spaceballs. And I met producer of Spaceballs.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks, hello, senior moment.
That's it.
First one. No, I've had a couple, but that was a bad one. Anyway, I met Mel Brooks and I went in to read for the waitress. And he's like, no, I really want a blonde. I'm like, well, I can put on a wig. I was brunette back then. And he goes, no, I really like you. You're really funny. Just come to the set. We'll wardrobe you and I'll throw lines at you. We'll find something for you. And that's what he did. And he was wonderful. But he met every role himself, every small part, every one line, everything he cast. So cool to meet Mel Brooks. And then that was my scene, was in the diner scene. I had one line. I ordered a Luna fish sandwich. And people remember me from that because they memorized the whole film, for one. But two, you go to these conventions and people will come up to you like, I need your autograph because I have like all of these autographs from Spaceballs. I'm trying to get everybody's, and a lot of people aren't here anymore from the film. I did try to get into the new one. I tried very hard through agents and they were like, no, we're doing it out of the country. No. I'm like, well, if you're doing a diner scene, I need to be in it, but it didn't happen. Still trying to sell myself.
Okay, whose turn is it, Fritz?
Yours.
Oh, okay. Full House.
That was cool too. I played Kimmy Gibbler, one of the kids on the show, the neighbor kid, grown up. And so I had to follow around this young lady on the set, for a week to get her mannerisms. And
She was
did a
so
podcast
funny.
with the gals about a year ago with the original people. And that was really cool for them to talk about their experience and remembering that particular episode, which was a very popular episode. The kids were all kind of sexy and grown up. So I think that's why it sticks in people's minds that it was a cool episode.
Because Kimmy Gibbler was hilarious. So seeing what she would be, that she would just be, this sex bomb was just
It was
the best.
really funny. It was really fun. I mean, they were all classic shows. I moved to LA because I really wanted a sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hosting all these movies for all these years. And I met all these B film directors and probably could have been in a ton of them. But I was like snobby. I'm like, I want a sitcom. And I never got the sitcom. But and that was my dream. I always liked the fact that you were on a sitcom, you worked a week, you get the part, you do the read through, then you'd rehearse, and then you'd film on a Friday, and then you'd start the whole thing over like a little baby play. And that was my dream.
You may still get a sitcom.
Yeah, you don't know. So you talked about it a little bit. Talk about Married with Children. Do you remember your character's name on there?
I do, because that is like something that people bring up, and I've seen clips of it, in recent times as people talk about it. And I was like Brenda Kuzdrowski or something, and I
Exactly.
played the next
That
door
was a pretty good
neighbor.
run.
And Al opens the door, and they have the sexy outfit on, and he drops, And Peggy comes running up because I'm a stripper. I dance on I dance on tables for men near airports. So that's one of my
important
lines.
work.
And I wanted him to move my couch, and because I was just moving in, and he does. And not just one scene, but just one of those parts that you remembered in that show. I mean, I kept getting. Here's the really cool thing: is I always got cast as that role, the sexy girl. I never could get that. I kept trying to move away, and that's why when I auditioned for Up All Night, I dove right into being sexy because I was so tired of being told you're too sexy that I'm like, I'm going for it. And I showed up to the audition with a low-cut dress, and I put my blow dryer into a socket and was blow drying my hair. Now what's funny is like all these people that are 40-something years old are producing films. I've done 3 films in the last 2 years, and a Tyler Perry episodic. I got an agent. And what am I getting cast as? As the older cougar ditz. It's so awesome. I'm still playing the same roles. I had like a kissing scene with a 35-year-old. It was fabulous.
Nice.
Well,
Wow.
almost a kissing scene. I ended up getting thrown in the pool, but they had a stunt double for that.
Yeah.
But it was very, very, I mean, I'm having a fun time. It's really the same roles, just the much older version, the granny version.
All right. What do people need to know about you? We're going to put it all in the show notes. I know we have your intimate apparel. We have Up All Night is coming back to YouTube. What else? Because you're all over social media. Your Instagram, you have your own YouTube page. Tell us where else people can find you.
Well, all the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. For horror film fans, they really do like Facebook, and they really like Twitter or X, whatever it's called, because they like to talk in real time. And I have a website also called Rhonda Shear, upallnight.com. And that's cool because it's for all things merchandise, more for, Up All Night t-shirts and mugs and things that we're creating, boxer shorts for men and women, of course. I have to have a little intimate apparel for the boys and the girls. And then rhondashear.com is my intimate apparel line. So, I like the whole product thing. I think it's really cool. I never knew that would be my world later in life, but it's been an interesting ride creating product and understanding sales and just the whole world of retail.
Yeah.
You've had an amazing career. It was so interesting to read about you. I knew you from the rooms, and you don't really know people that well, but you're a great success story. How many comedians call you and ask you for money on a daily basis?
I think I need to do something for you guys in the way of product.
Yeah, well,
So you have like the years.
Oh my
I mean, I
God,
love
please.
your product, but you do need your specific dolls or apparel.
Well, you know what? That's not out of the question. Maybe we'll have to figure something out and see if we can help you.
Yeah, you
market
need
it.
that.
There's a
and
lot-
the other thing you need to do, and seriously, everyone is selling on TikTok and Amazon. And it's really bizarre because this is new for us. So, when going on HSN, we sell hundreds of thousands of units. Like, I mean, there used to be that we would sell like 90,000 units in a 24-hour period of like a 3-pack of bras. Sales are not the same, especially since COVID. Things are very different because people are shopping everywhere now. They're shopping on their phone. They're shopping everywhere. But before that, shopping TV was just so incredibly huge, direct to consumer. But you guys should do that. And you build up an audience and you keep doing it over and over. So we've been building up our audience like on Amazon and TikTok. I'm not doing it. I have some young ladies doing that for me. Thank God. So they're also going on. And because now I have younger voices. I have a mama voice, a really young 20-something-year-old. But that is definitely the future of shopping. People are not going to be shopping in stores at all. It is going to be like maybe a small footprint of a store, and then they're going to send you to either live or .com to shop. So
Well, here's my
I think
concept,
you guys-
Rhonda. Here's my concept.
You've-
Cozy
I'm
watchwear.
giving you a concept. You've got to monetize everything you're doing.
This is
I
what-
want to
this-
be able to buy everything that's in front of you that I'm looking at, and I don't know if you can, but I think lunch boxes are so cool. You need your own lunch box.
No,
if you
these
don't
are
have.
authentic vintage lunch boxes. We would be making duplicates of those, and we don't own the copyrights to Little House on the Prairie.
So you need to do your own.
But here's our own watch.
Like a vintage style.
But here's my concept. This show is called Media Path, and it kind of encourages people to sort of, if you love this, you may also love this, and we all carve out our own media path of what we curl up and watch or read.
Right.
So we could come up with cozy watchwear, and it'd just be like sweatpants and cozy hoodies and that say Media Path or whatever you want.
That's cute.
Where did your Media Path take you or something like that so that everyone can identify with it?
Yeah.
I
like that. That's a great idea. And,
create a line.
loungewear is never going to go out.
Yeah,
I mean,
cozy, but we'll call it watchwear. And we'll coin that phrase.
Yeah, that's really, really a great idea.
Fritz
I
yoga
think
pants.
loungewear, we did loungewear. It's never going out. People want to be comfy and cozy. That's what you cuddle up on the couch.
Absolutely. Even
with
blankets and throws and all that kind of cozy
easy
stuff.
to do.
Yeah.
That's really easy to do.
All right, we're going to talk. We'll talk.
All right, say goodbye to Van. Is he still sitting on the other end of the couch?
Yeah, Dan,
Can you come over and do a cameo?
Van, stick your face in here. We've been talking about you for an hour.
stick your face in.
How
He's
much
little
does he
Van
charge?
the
We're not
Man. They
gonna
call
ask
him
him
Van the
anything.
Man.
Cameo.
And he is. He's my first kiss.
That's your
real
first
quick.
kiss.
Come sit down. Come sit. This is my little honey.
Hey,
Hi,
guys.
Van.
Sit up straight. Sit up
Oh,
straight.
he is sexy.
Well, it's the
Yes.
couch. It's like
He was so hot. I mean, he's still hot, but he was so hot.
He's a hottie.
We met at 12 and 13.
Yeah, he's definitely a hottie. All right, Van, here you are for our closing credits. We want to thank our guest, Rhonda Shear and Van Fagan. Our team includes producer Dina Friedman, John Maddox, Bill Filipiak, Mason Brown, Raf Rusak, Jordan Reyes, Haley Freight. What's your name? What's your last name, Tyler? Tyler Blankenship is with us today. And our theme music is by me and John Maddox. I am Louise Palanker, here with Fritz Coleman and Rhonda Shear. Be well and wise, take good care of one another, and we will see you along the media path.
That was awesome, Ron.
You guys are so cute together.
You are. And I just love the arc of your career. If people could see us in those bad open mic nights early in our career,